Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Last year, a number of Kenyan nationals who came to Taiwan to work as performers fell victim to labor abuse. Taiwan's government watchdog launched an investigation into the case and has revealed human trafficking violations. Leslie Liao brings us more.
Kenyan nationals arrived in Taiwan on artist visas, only to be told that there was no performance work upon their arrival. They were forced to do manual labor jobs like garbage collection and farm work, which went against the terms of their white-collar visas. They were paid less than $500 a month, which is well below Taiwan's minimum wage, and in some cases, they weren't paid at all. The Kenyan nationals filed a complaint with Tainan city government to little effect. Taiwan's government watchdog, the Control Yuan, has finished an investigation of its own and found there were human trafficking violations.
白领移工本来是要表演，结果他们做的就是你看农业啦，还喷洒农药，没有给安全的器具，甚至其中有一个人说他眼睛有暂时的失明。
The main concern is that Taiwan's migrant labor laws, specifically the ones regulating white-collar work, like chefs, performers, and teachers, have loopholes and are being exploited for cheap labor.
那本案当然就是很清楚看得出来，就是用这个白领移工的身份引进，结果最后却因为这个雇主去钻啊，包括这个 B 公司哈，也就钻这个相关劳基法的漏洞哈，因为现在的对白领技术移工的这个规管的密度比较低。
The Control Yuan now says it will pass on the report to the Human Rights Commission, where it will be further reviewed and evaluated. Hank Xu and Leslie Liao in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
It's a pivotal moment for Taiwan as it faces uncertainty over its politics and defense. That's how one analyst is describing Taiwan's reality right now. Jaime Ocon sat down for an exclusive interview with Bonnie Glaser, Managing Director of the Indo-Pacific Program at the German Marshall Fund of the United States.
I want to start off with asking about the current state of U.S.-Taiwan relations. Are Taipei and Washington the closest that they've ever been?
Well, I certainly think that the U.S.-Taiwan relationship is very strong. It has really been moving from strength to strength. There is so much that binds our two societies, our peoples, our countries together. And concern about China's pressure on Taiwan is one of them. Our economic relationship is extremely strong. And I think that we do face some uncertainty going forward. We do have a new president in Washington. I think it's not completely clear yet how President Trump will be approaching Taiwan. But you know, Taiwan is not alone because every country in the world is facing some unpredictability with Trump and pressure. And so I think that there's no reason to believe that the relationship will not remain strong going forward. But there will be demands, I think, from President Trump, and there will be a little bit of adjustments. We've already seen President Trump put pressure on Canada, on Mexico, on Denmark, because President Trump wants to acquire Greenland. So Taiwan is not alone.
I do want to ask about this word change. So recently, the United States State Department on the Taiwan fact sheet, I'm going to read this verbatim, dropped the phrase, quote, "We do not support Taiwan independence." Bonnie, I want to ask you how significant that change is, and is the United States trying to say something without saying it?
Well, first, I would say we don't know who changed that language. You might remember that early in the Biden administration, that same sentence was deleted, and approximately 1 week later, it was reinserted in the website. So nobody talked about how that happened. But this time, my view is that there is a perception in some of the people in the administration that we don't have to say all the time that the United States doesn't support Taiwan independence, partly because I think the government here thinks that it doesn't need to be said all the time. But the important thing is that this is not a change in policy. And it's quite clear to me that the other language on the website, that the United States opposes unilateral change in the status quo by either side of the strait already covers that the United States doesn't support Taiwan independence. So it's not a change in policy. I do have a bit of a concern that because we are in a transition in our administration, and there's anxiety, frankly, in Beijing, that they might overreact to this change in language. So it might be seen as very welcome here, but I hope that we don't see a very strong reaction from China.
Whether it's the public displays of aggression in the legislative sessions, or agreements or disagreements on defense spending, whether it's the submarine or conscription, when it comes to, like you mentioned about the first step of having both sides agree and then engage with the United States, how big is that obstacle of both the KMT and the DPP not agreeing in order to see the common good, which is the defense of the country?
I'll tell you an anecdote. When I met with the delegation from Taiwan that attended the Trump inauguration, and the day after the inauguration, they all met with members of Congress. I believe they met with 24 members of Congress. It was like speed dating. They each had like 15 minutes. And I heard from the delegation members that every member they met with was concerned about defense spending and the budget here. But of course it goes way beyond defense spending, because the freezes, the cuts are affecting many different aspects of your government and society. And I think the United States is quite concerned about that. We certainly have polarization in my country, in our political system, but I have to tell you, there are issues in which there is some bipartisan consensus and agreement. And I think that Taiwan really needs to figure out how it can, the steps it can take to best defend the country, to ensure that the foreign ministry is doing its job, the defense ministry, the Ministry of Interior that's doing part of this whole of society defense resilience. It seems to me that right now this is a pivotal moment. And if the budget is not approved and the society is not able to move forward in a positive direction, then I worry that this is something that will create more weaknesses and vulnerabilities in Taiwan that Beijing can take advantage of.
That was Glaser from the German Marshall Fund of the United States. For more from Zoom In, Zoom Out, you can visit TaiwanPlus.com. Cash for mosquitoes, that's the offer in one village in the Philippines as it tries to halt the spike in dengue fever cases. Cadence Caranta reports.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
In this village in the Philippines, mosquitoes have a bounty on their heads. 1 peso for every 5 mosquitoes, captured and dumped into a UV light machine, which village officials call the death chamber. The project is an attempt to address a rise in cases of dengue fever across the Philippines this year. Dengue is rarely life-threatening, but can cause high fevers, rashes, and pain. And it's spread primarily by mosquito bites.
Ito pong ginawa naming programa is one of our alternative project na innovation approach na para hikayatin yung ating mga kababayan na maging parte ng pagsugpo ng what you call this ng dengue.
By the beginning of February this year, the country had already seen over 20,000 dengue cases, a 40% rise from the same period last year. With many falling sick, residents of this village in central Manila are enthusiastic about catching mosquitoes.
Yung mga nahuli ko, malaking tulong na rin po. Marami na rin po hindi makakagat ng lamok mo. Kasi nabawasan na po yung lamok.
But others have suggested the project is useless, with one public health expert warning that by catching mosquitoes, villagers could make the problem even worse. The country's health department says the best solution would probably be to wear protective clothing and to get rid of any stagnant water. For now, though, in this neighborhood, mosquitoes continue to be captured and sent to their demise. Scott Huang and Cadence Caranta for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching today's What's Up Taiwan. Finally, check out these artworks created with the help of AI up for auction in New York. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.